Hello South Shore, welcome back to 3rd grade online with Miss Nazaripour. This week we have been talking about asking and then answering questions, and we have been doing that all about a book we've been reading, Flashy, Fantastic Rainforest Frogs. And you can see that these beautiful creatures here have inspired some really interesting wonderings. So one of my friends asked, what do rainforest frogs eat? And we were able to answer that question just from reading the text. Rainforest frogs mostly eat insects, but some eat small mice and rats. A frog that's large enough to eat a rat is terrifying. We also were able to kind of answer this question, what are frogs' enemies? We know that some animals are frogs' predators, although the author of this text was not explicit about which animals hunt frogs, but they did tell us that humans also endanger frogs by cutting down forests. That's a general theme that I've seen in books about wildlife, unfortunately. Do they live on the canopy or the understory? We learned that frogs live on both the canopy as well as the understory. That means the tops of the trees as well as the base of the trees. And we have some questions left to answer. What are baby frogs called? How do frogs defend themselves? And what are frogs called? I want to say that I really appreciate that so many of you are sending in your work every day, because I was able to pull these wonderings right from your work. Nice job, 3rd graders. We also didn't find this answer. Do people in the rainforest eat frogs? So that's one we're going to have to do more research about. But let's see if we can answer these 3 questions. So let's start with, I want to start with this one, because I remember there was a whole section on baby frogs. So we're going to go back. Unfortunately, the author of this book didn't quite set it up in a way that was super easy. Maybe there's an index. Let me check. Oh, there is an index. Okay. So the index, remember, gives you subjects, like topics that you might want to read about, and tells you the page. But it's alphabetical, and I'm not seeing any babies. So let's read what is here. Blue poison frog, canopy, croaking, disappearance of frogs, eggs. Baby frogs come from eggs, so I wonder if we'll find the answer there. Feet, webbed feet, food, forest destruction, glass frogs, horned frogs, mating, poison dart frogs, predators, protective coloration, rainforest, reproduction, tadpoles. I think a tadpole might be the answer. I'm going to go with reproduction. We're going to look on that page. Reproduction means making babies, or the beginning of a life cycle. And that's on page 16, the author says. So I'm going to go ahead and reread this. A good reader always asks questions and then goes back in the text to see if they can find the answer to those questions. So let's do that. At mating time, female frogs recognize the special croaking sound of their own species and follow it to find mates. Once the male and female are together, he fertilizes the eggs as she lays them. Many rainforest frogs do not lay their eggs in the water. The eggs of some frogs are protected by foam nests along the water's edge or on the overhanging leaves. The foam keeps the eggs moist and helps protect them from predators. Often the tadpoles hatch within the foam and rain carries them into the water. So the thing that comes out of the egg is the baby, right? And the author just said that the baby is a tadpole. So baby frogs are called tadpoles. We've just answered one of our questions. Now, let's go to this one. What are large frogs called? There's nothing in here about big frogs or large frogs, but I do remember that we learned about a big frog when we were learning about what they eat. Remember, big frogs eat small rats. Scary. So let's see if there's food. Yes, there is food, page 9 and 24. So let's go to page 9 and see if we can find it there. Most rainforest frogs eat insects. There are so many crickets, moths, termites, ants, and other insects in the forest that frogs have plenty to eat. Big frogs may go beyond eating insects. Some large horned frogs have green and brown bodies that blend perfectly within the forest floor. These frogs don't hunt for food, they just sit and wait. They can eat almost anything that comes their way, even mice and small rats. So third graders, I just learned that large frogs are horned frogs. Now, the author isn't specific to say if those are the only large frogs, but it is a kind of large frog. So one kind of large frog is the horned frog. Okay, I just wrote that in the wrong place. That's okay. Just gonna do like that. And then I'll write this answer if we find it down here. See, we all make mistakes, and mistakes are just proof we're learning. All right, so now we're gonna look at this one. How do frogs defend themselves? So back to the index. So I see predators, protection from. I also see protective coloration. So I know that both of those things say protection. So let's read that. Page 10, 12, 14, and 17. 10. Actually, they overlap. Protective coloration and protecting from predators are both on page 10. The disguise of the horned frogs also protects them from becoming food for larger animals. Many small frogs protect themselves by hiding too. Some have brown patterns that disguise them on tree trunks or among dead leaves. And down here, this is actually the page we just read about those frogs. These frogs don't hunt for food, they just sit and wait. The food comes right to them. They have green and brown bodies that blend perfectly with the forest floor. So, one way that frogs can protect themselves is by blending in or hiding. Okay. I bet we can find some different ways that frogs protect themselves if we keep reading. Glass frogs are hard to see on green leaves. Much of their skin has no color at all. It is sometimes hard to see where the glass frog ends and the leaf begins. So still, that's about frogs blending in. A few rainforest frogs have a special way to avoid predators. They have big feet with webbing between the toes. Some also have flaps of skin on the sides of their body. To escape, the frog jumps in the air and spreads out its feet. Webbing and flaps act like wings and slow the frog's fall as it glides gently downward. When the frog reaches another tree, it can hang on with just one giant toe pad until it can grab on with its foot. So basically, a frog can jump from tree to tree and glide down to escape. So frogs jump from tree to tree and can glide because of their feet. So that's another way they protect themselves. And here's one last way that frogs can protect themselves. I can already tell which one this is. This is the page that said, I believe, in the index, yep, protective coloration. Poison dart frogs don't need to hide or escape. They hop fearlessly about the forest floor during the day. Their bright colors warn predators, don't touch me. Only a few animals can eat them because their skin contains bitter tasting chemicals. Some of these chemicals are very poisonous. So, their skin is poisonous and brightly colored. Okay, third graders, we have now answered all of our questions with the exception of, do people in the rainforest eat frogs? Now, that answer was not in here. So in order to answer that, we'll have to do some more research. Maybe that's something you can do at home. So here's a challenge for you. I would like you to find out, if you can, or if you want to, whether or not people in the rainforest eat frogs. Now, I definitely know they're not eating the brightly colored ones that are poisonous, but are there kinds of frogs people eat? That's a good question to ask, and some of the best questions, third graders, aren't answered by one book, because now we get to research and really try and figure it out. That's the most fun thing, in my opinion, about nonfiction, is that there's always more to learn. All right, third graders, today for independent practice, what I would like you to do is everybody has a login to RazKids. Even if you don't have nonfiction books at home, you have a login to RazKids. Go on RazKids, find a nonfiction book of your choice, and try and find, before you start reading, find 2 questions and see if you can answer them. Again, your job is to go to RazKids, log in, read a nonfiction book of your choice, ask and answer 2 questions, and then send me your answers. I can't wait to see what you're going to learn today, okay? All right, third graders, take care and talk soon.